Merry Christmas from AFR Talk and Focal Point. Connect with Focal Point via Facebook or follow us on Twitter at Brian J. Fisher.
What do you mean by saying a thing like that? I've been all over town trying to find that kind of a fire engine. Macy doesn't have one. Nobody's got one.
But you can get those fire engines at the Acme Toy Company on West 46th Street. Only $4.50. Wonderful bargain. Oh, I follow the toy market pretty closely.
So that was a scene from Miracle on 34th Street, which, by the way, is a movie I personally have never, ever seen. I mean, I might have seen a clip or a snippet from it, but I have never seen the movie. In fact, It's a Wonderful Life. I'm not sure I've ever even seen that movie. I mean, I've seen, what's that, Jeff? Jeff says, yeah, before my time. That's my excuse. Actually, it's just not my type of movie. I mean, not enough explosions. The body count's way too low. I don't know. But anyway, I haven't seen either of those movies. But Jan Bryan, Miracle on 34th Avenue, that is her favorite movie, favorite Christmas movie, or one of them anyway. So this is kind of Jan Bryan week at Focal Point. Yesterday, I made sure that her husband knew. I mean, I let our entire listening audience know that Jan Bryan, who is our call screener, she's the lovely and talented lady you contact when you call this program, that her husband was informed by this program, by me, your host. Today we're playing an excerpt from her favorite Christmas movie. Yesterday I informed her husband, no appliances for Christmas, birthdays, or anniversaries. So this is Jan Bryan week on Focal Point. Well, let's see if we can grab some more sound bites while we're in the neighborhood. Let's go to clip number 2. We were talking about unions earlier. Remember I said this is an amazing statistic to me. 173,000 union workers, staff members, and officers. They make half as much money as the 14.7 million union workers that are out there. So somebody try to tell me that the union is all about the little guy. Sounds to me like the union is about making sure that the union fat cats can maintain their lavish salaries and compensation. You know, I mentioned the deal with the hostess being shut down, 18,500 people, 18,500 people out of a job. And I saw a rundown of all of the people that are a part of that union, the union that struck and took this company down. And they've got dozens of people making over $100,000 a year. So, and they're trucking right along. They're still taking in their lavish compensation packages. Now, here is Ruth Marcus from Washington Post. So this is somebody's a winger left, and it's interesting what she reveals. She's on MSNBC with Andrea Mitchell Reports, and it's interesting what she accidentally reveals in this soundbite. Let's listen.
And the notion that this is, ask auto workers in Michigan whether they would be better off with or without unions. Of course, their bargaining position is stronger with unions. But unions aren't going to survive when people have a choice of whether to ante up the dues or to get the benefit of being free riders.
So, I mean, she has no idea what she just said. Unions aren't going to survive when people have a choice of whether to ante up the dues. So she's admitting, look, the only thing, and she's pro-union. I mean, she was hostile to this right-to-work law in Michigan. But she admits here, if you can't compel people to join unions, if you can't force them to join a union, if you can't compel them to join a union or get their legs busted or lose their jobs, then the unions are going to fold. So what she is admitting is that the unions only exist because of force. They don't exist because they offer such an attractive product to workers that they're just compelled by persuasion to pony up the dues. The only way they are making it is because people are compelled to join a union as a price of having a job. And she complains here again about these free riders. Well, I got to tell you, it's not, you know, this is the complaint that unions have, is if you got somebody that works there in the plant and they're not a part of the union, but they get union wages and benefits, then they're free riders. They're sort of hitchhiking on the work that the unions are doing. And I'm saying, look, it's the other way around. It's the unions that are free riding on the dues-paying members that don't like the policies and the politics of the union. They've got no choice. They've got to pony up the dues, taken right out of their paychecks. They never see the dollars and get taken out of their paychecks, put into the union coffers, and then those monies, 97% of them, are sent straight to Democrat candidates, whether the union worker likes it or not. So the free riders here are the unions. Who are the free riders? It's 173,000 union officials that are taken home in aggregate. This is the total amount of compensation, taking home half, $1.1 billion. They're taking home half of what the union members, they're getting $2.5 billion, but there's 14.7 million union workers. So who is the free rider here? I would say that it is the union fat cats and the union political organizations that are free riding on the hard work of the unions. Number to call if you want to join the program, 888-589-8840 is the number, 888-589-8840, as we continue to celebrate Jan Bryan Week here on Focal Point. She will be the call screener. You'll contact 888-589-8840. Now, Chris Matthews last night started his episode of Hardball last night, and this is incredible to me. I mean, you talk about a guy that is completely out of touch with reality. Chris Matthews wants to say that we're the ones, the conservatives, we're the ones that are out of touch with reality. But listen to what he had to say.
Did you get the impression during the presidential campaign that the press was trying too hard to be even-handed? Did you think the people delivering the news were pushing what we call balance at the expense of the obvious facts? That the day-to-day stories never got across the obvious big fact? That the Democrats in this election were like Democrats going back to Jack Kennedy? But the Republicans were far to the right of anything we've seen from that party ever. Self-deportation, forget the 47%, treat women like they belong in binders, ignore the rights of gay people, crack down on abortion rights, even in cases of rape. All those wild statements, all the lingo in the GOP platform approved in Tampa, and not a word that one of the country's two major political parties has gone so far starboard that not even Ronald Reagan could get aboard, and certainly not by his own admission, Jeb Bush. So tonight we're going to nail it. We go to the truth. And why it was the truth that dared not be reported in the mainstream media.
That's just hilarious to me. I mean, he was talking about Todd Aiken as if the mainstream media gave Todd Aiken a pass on his statement about legitimate rape. Like the mainstream media wasn't doing its job. They weren't on point. They weren't reporting this. They weren't taking this on. They were giving Todd Aiken a pass. They were giving Mitt Romney a pass. They were buttering up Mitt Romney. They bent over so far backward to be even-handed that they actually were in the tank for Mitt Romney. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous and totally absurd. So you talk about a guy, man, that's out of touch. If Chris Matthews thinks that the mainstream media was in the tank for Republicans and Mitt Romney, that's a guy that's got a serious reality problem. Now, okay, Chris, mainstream media, they're in the tank for Republicans. How do you explain this question from Barbara Walters to Chris Christie? Clip 4.
Okay, Governor, I feel very uncomfortable asking this question when I'm sitting opposite you. But you are a little overweight.
More than a little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. If I could figure that out, I'd fix it. No.
There are people who say that you couldn't be president because you're so heavy. What do you say to them?
No, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what the basis for that is.
I think they're worried about your health.
Well, I've done this job pretty well, and I think people watched me for the last number of weeks in Hurricane Sandy doing 18-hour days and getting right back up the next day and still being just as effective in the job. So I don't really think that would be a problem.
So, what if somebody said to Barbara Walters, what if Chris Christie said to Barbara Walters, Barbara, you're old. Your face is lined. You're haggard. You need some work done. Don't you think maybe that you're too old to be in the journalism profession? That's exactly that's how rude that question is, but she has no hesitation in asking it. Now, here is an MSNBC host that actually might have done a little bit of drive-by journalism here. There's a story that broke about Robert Menendez. He's a Democrat from New Jersey. It's interesting here. He had an intern that was an illegal alien, and he was a registered sex offender, both. And the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, they were onto this guy back early in the fall. But DHS, Big Sis, Janet Napolitano, said, look, this guy's up for re-election here in November. Don't you dare arrest this illegal alien sex offender before the election. ICE wanted to move in and arrest the guy, and DHS said, no, this will be a high-profile arrest, as it is now, and we can't jeopardize this Democrat's re-election chances. Now, remember, when it's a Republican that has some kind of sexual peccadillo, that's all you hear about ad nauseum. Get ready to hear a spate of stories about Track Palin, Sarah Palin's son, filed for divorce, or his wife divorced him, which they got a 1-year-old daughter. Expect to hear stories ad nauseum about what this says about Sarah Palin and her family values. But here is this MSNBC host actually having a pretty honest exchange with Robert Menendez about his intern. Let's listen.
And we certainly wouldn't have known through any background check, since he is a minor, about any sex offender status. And once it came to our attention, our New Jersey staff director let the young man go from the program, and that's all we know about it.
He was arrested December 6th. Do you know when this was brought to the attention of your office?
My understanding is it was brought to attention this Monday.
According to this report, the Homeland Security Department instructed federal agents not to arrest this 18-year-old until after Election Day. We know you were reelected in November, but according to a U.S. official involved in this case, in this AP report, Homeland Security Department was instructed not to arrest him until after Election Day. Do you know anything about a delay in his arrest?
Absolutely not. I didn't know anything about the young man's status until this Monday. So actually, before I came onto this program, my staff knew about it on Monday. I didn't know about it until I came right before your program. And I assume at some point you want to talk about immigration reform.
So actually, you know, Tamron Hall there, the MSNBC contributor, doing some decent journalism there, asking the direct questions. Let's play one more soundbite before we go to the break. This is clip 7, Rob, if we can grab clip 7. And Jeffrey Immelt is the guy that's speaking in this clip. And I'm not hearing any bumper music, Jeff. Should I be hearing something? Oh, okay. All right, Jules. Jeff's holding off because we want to play this clip. So Jeff is just following my lead here. Now, this is Jeffrey Immelt. He's the CEO of GE. Remember, they didn't pay $1 in income taxes last year, shielded it all. But he's got the ideal government right here. Let's listen.
The one thing that actually works, you know, state-run communism may not be your cup of tea, but their government works.
So Jeffrey Immelt made absolute bank in a capitalist society, and he's saying, hey, you want to see a government that works, go to communist China. And remember that Pravda columnist said that Barack Obama is a communist back in 2.
Nothing but truth.